I now call upon Dr. Devendra Gauchan for his talk on value addition, something which Dr. Long also was talking about just a couple of minutes ago. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Sorry. So thank you, Chair. Okay, could you see my?
Yes, yes, we can see your computer screen.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, distinguished Chair, Co-Chair, participant, ladies and gentlemen. So let me show my video. Okay, okay, if I could. Well, this presentation topic, value addition, value chain, and market development of niche mountain agro products, is based on my work in particularly in Nepal Himalayan mountains, though some of the information comes from other parts of the world. And specifically, in this presentation, I'd like to focus on, the blueprint approach of the development that is practiced elsewhere cannot be suitable in the mountains because of unique feature and nature of the mountain ecology. Because mountains have specific, constraints, and they have challenges as well as some opportunities which we can explore that opportunity through value addition, value chain, and market development.
Sir, please open your file, sir. Your PPT file is. Please open your file.
Yeah, I have opened it. Is it?
No, it's not visible here. Only your list of the files is there on the screen.
But I could see here. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, again, I have to do it.
Yeah. It's been highlighted.
Yeah, please open the file.
Yeah.
I'll close it again and I'll again do it.
Yeah, that's a good strategy.
Could you see now? Hello?
No, sir.
No, sir. Abhi tak khula nahi hai. It's not opened yet.
How come?
You please close this and then you redo.
Yeah, sorry. I'll just stop sharing again.
Yeah.
How could I can share?
Yeah.
You can see.
Yeah. Now we can see it. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Because, well, sorry for some time.
It's okay.
Not a problem.
Okay, so I think I have already shown the topics. My topic, I don't need to explain more again. So my name is Devendra Gauchan. Basically, my disciplinary background is agriculture economics, though I have broader experience of agriculture development and natural resource management with more than two decades of experience in different countries.
Wow.
So I have already presented why we need to focus on this topic. So I'll go briefly about the outlines of the presentations. So first I'll focus on briefly about Himalayas and concept of niche mountain products, and then concept of value addition, value chain, and niche market, and then value chain and market system analysis, and priority strategy for niche mountain value chains, why we need to focus on that, and then biodiversity based value chain, and conclusion and way forward. Well, the feature of Himalayan mountains, I already mentioned that because of the high elevation, unique features and ecology, in Himalayan mountains are a bit different from other mountains because of the complex topographic feature, steep undulating slopes, relief and some of the highland valleys. So because of this unique ecology, Himalayan mountains are also the center of the hotspot of the global biodiversity, with high potential for unique niche products, particularly agricultural products. Let me just explain some of the elaboration about mountain specificity and why there is a comparative advantage in the mountains. Well, I think we have already, the past presenters in the last 2-3 days, we already discussed mountains are diverse, unique features because of the altitude and relief, variation in the altitude and relief as compared to plains. That's why we refer as mountain. These are mountain specificity. Ishimura has defined, particularly Joda and colleagues, they call it mountain specificity. This includes diversity, accessibility, and fragility and marginality. And also, in addition to that, there is a needs and adaptation, which we call it the opportunity for mountains. Well, particularly mountains are, we always consider there is a specific constraint, so it's very difficult to develop mountain areas. But we haven't been able to explore the opportunities and comparative advantage provided by the mountains. These comparative advantages and opportunities lie mainly in the niche, what you call the ecological niche, that is a specific ecological climatic advantage of the mountain areas, particular pockets, and also the diversity that provides by the mountains. So if we transform these constraints into opportunity through value addition, value chain, and market development, we can bring, prosperity in the mountains and conserve natural resources and ecosystems by exploiting the comparative advantage that mountain provides. So based on this context, so here I would like to focus on what is niche mountain products. Well, I already mentioned because of mountains have a very specific ecological niches, so we have to exploit the biodiversity of that niches for commercializing that product for mountain development. And some of the niche commodities and products include many of the high value, low volume, and non-perishable products that have comparative advantage. I will just briefly discuss later on. And for that, we also need to exploit the niche market. It's not only production side, but also if you use the niche products for marketing of the in specific market niches, then we can only take benefit because niche products, because of ecological and natural, clean and green products, they have a special price premiums in the market, in the national and international market. So these are, what are the biodiversity-based niche products or commodities? So these are very clear. Many of you already know that cash crops like cardamom, honey, tea, coffee, which are many spices like ginger, turmeric, and mushrooms. Particularly, there are different varieties of mushroom, including this mushroom fungus, what we call Ersagumba, also very, high value products in the high mountain areas. And we have a lot of fruits, indigenous fruits, nuts, many of the temperate fruits are originated in the mountains. And vegetable seeds, off-season vegetables, potato seeds, and many of the spices, flowers, and also traditional Himalayan crops, mountain crops, what we call Himalayan superfood, because of the nutrient-dense characteristics of these crops like amaranth, barley, naked barley, particularly buckwheat, many types of beans, highland beans, and so on. And also livestock products like Dr. Ding just presented, the yak. In Himalayan mountains have an unique yak adaptation, so they can provide very nutritious axes, Himalayan organic axes, and very high value for the high price that can be sold in the market, including the special wools like Kashmiri fur, shawls, and so that can be obtained from the mountain goats and many of the highland livestock products, and also including medicinal and aromatics, so many plants and non-timber forest products. These are the biodiversity-based niche products, and many of them are agro-based products. So I'll focus on more agriculture-based niche products. So let me just explain about the key issues why and rationale why we need to focus on niche value chains. I also briefly discuss about the niche commodity and products. Now I'll go try to briefly about the value chains. And as I already mentioned earlier, that generic value chains that is practiced elsewhere, particularly in the lowland, is not suitable for the mountain areas because of the mountain specific constraints and the opportunities that mountain provide. So therefore we need to and also we need to understand mountain specificity for promoting value chains in the mountains. And in the present time, most of the mountain areas, particularly in the highland Himalayan mountain areas, the value chain, current value chain for many of the niche products are often poor, fragmented, and underdeveloped because cost of production, mountain products cannot compete with the lowland because of the structural, the geographical and topographical constraints, and also the lack of specific policy and institutional support and technology for promoting these mountain niche products that have comparative advantage in terms of high value and low volume. And also markets are often secretive and disorganized in the mountain area, many of the mountain areas, and small producer, traders, and service provider lack the capacity to interact actively and negotiate with the experienced lowland buyers so that they can market their high value products that are grown in the high mountain areas. Based on these contents, I will focus on the specific concept of the value addition, value chain analysis, and market development of these products. So let me just briefly highlight what is value addition. Well, this is very, I think often everybody know very well. So this is a process where value is added from each of the value chain, particularly from production to processing, marketing, and finally it reaches to consumer. The added value is called value additions, and particularly in economics, when we try to analyze, so if the farm gate price of the product is, compared to if the consumer price at the final destination is quite higher than the prices at the farm gate, then the product has value added, provided if the market is well, market is well promoted for that, and if market functions properly for that. And value addition can be through different ways, through product diversification by changing the product, by processing and value addition. And also we can simply add value just by packaging and labeling or branding or certification as organic that can face higher premium price in the market just by labeling or packaging or certification also. So the value chain is made of series of, let me just add from value addition to value chain. Value chain is made of series of actors in the chains from input suppliers to production, processing, marketing, to it reaches to consumption sector, to users, buyers and users. And here I'd like to focus on the value chain analysis of the biodiversity based products, particularly niche products, where we need to have to understand the improving the performance, interlinkage, and efficiency so that we can form a niche value chain. So in terms of value chain, value chain can be mapped and analyzed using what we call value chain analysis. The value chain can be mapped in terms of actors, product flows, information flows, relationship between different actors, and also analyzing what are the constraints that exist in the different chains, in the value subcomponent of the value chains, and as well as also identifying the opportunities or upgrading strategy for improving the value chains. These are part of value chain. So I'd like just to also briefly discuss difference between supply chain and value chains. Supply chain is just one-way flow of the product without any addition of value. It is particularly supply side push. Whereas value chain is, value is added in every chain of the, processes from production or input supply to until it reaches to consumption. And also it is a two-way flow, as you can see from the diagram here. And also it is demanded by the market, consumer side, value chains, two-way flow where it's one-way flow. So I'm just giving you one examples of the value chain analysis, particularly from the neglected underutilized species. And here the step one is to identify what are the species we want to promote for the value chain, and the second step is to analyze and map it, identify constraints, and third step is to identify, assess and assess opportunities for intervention, identify the entry points where we can leverage that, and then fourth is developing upgrading strategy, and finally we can implement, monitor, and refine the strategy. And now, specifically, I would like to focus on the priority strategy for niche value chain in the mountains, because we are focusing on mountains. So mountains, I already explained that mountain has specific constraints like, inaccessibility, fragility, marginality, and diversity. So we have to develop niche value chain to address these constraints so that we can promote niche value chain. So for strategy one is, we have to focus on to address the inaccessibility, because mountain have a infrastructural and inaccessibility is a constraint. To address that, we need to focus on high value, low volume products so that they can compete with lowland products. That is a strategy. And second strategy, if you want to address the mountain are very fragile. They are prone to erosion, landslide because shallow soils. So for that, we need to have a high value, low volume communities that can conserve soil and promote ecosystem services. So that we have to select that community. It's not only high value and low volume, but also that can conserve and protect ecosystems. And the third strategy is we need to focus on, in order to address the marginality concept, because many of the poor smallholders are excluded, disadvantaged group are excluded from the developmental process. So in order to address them, we need to have inclusive institutions and capacity development, particularly focusing on very poor and women and disadvantaged groups, so that we can include in the inclusive process of the value chain for niche mountain crops. And the fourth strategy is to address diversity, we need to also focus on economic scope of the value chain so that you can commercialize and market it easily. So I will just briefly about market system analysis. I think many of you already know, so I don't go briefly more detail in this. Just briefly, it is a system concept. It also includes the part of value chains. So I'd like to focus here is market system. It consists of three major subcomponents. One is market channel analysis. The second is market price analysis. And the third is margin analysis. So here we need to analyze all three parts so that what are the incentives or disincentives for promoting these niche value products, okay, commodities. So market channel we need to identify so that the particular product, niche product flows in that channel so that it easily flows and link with the market, destination market. And in terms of price also, we need to identify price signals so that it can help us to whether there is an incentive for marketing that product. And also market margin analysis is a combination price and channel so that whether there is a profit signals for marketing on that. And now we need to focus also, since our niche product is based on biodiversity, so this is a framework that I have worked in the Himalayan mountains as a framework for promoting the niche-based value chains, particularly focusing on Himalayan superfoods, Himalayan crops. You can see from the pictures. So many of the Himalayan crops are, though they are considered underutilized, but they are nutrient dense, very rich in nutrient, climate resilient, but their value chains have not been developed. And they are very biodiverse, okay? And so for that, we need to focus on not only biodiversity in the production system, but also we need to design technologies and institutional mechanisms, process them, because many of the processing technology and institution doesn't exist for these crops. And also in the marketing system, also diversity in the marketing, because single market outlet cannot provide the marketing of those crops. We need to have a specific niche market, specific organic market, very selective market for specific farm market for these crops, so that we can promote diversity in the consumption systems, because we need to improve the health and nutritional value of the consumers for improving global food systems. For that, we need to promote this nutritious Himalayan crops, what we call Himalayan superfood, to promote for nutrition-sensitive agriculture development or nutrition-sensitive food system development. This is a framework. So what I have used based on my work in the in Nepal Himalayas, funded by our Bioversity International with the United Nations Environment Program, the Global Environment Facility. Here is just a mapping of the value chains. What I am presenting is because for those mountain crops, there are major subcomponent of value chains are seed system, production, processing, promotion, and consumption, which are the major drivers are 4P. I have production, processing, promotion, and policy. These have to be promoted, but there are major constraints are, value chains are underdeveloped, poorly connected because of limited participation of the private sectors, public sector actors, and the information flow is very weak, so and technology, because of lack of processing technology and many of the seed related technologies, the value chains have constraint to promote these crops. So for that, we need upgrading. Upgrading of the value chains. When we identify the map and identify the constraints, we need to upgrade. So for upgrading, we need to focus on upgrading based on niche markets. For that, we need to identify the niche market and enhance inter-farm linkages of the value chains for those crops or commodities, and introduce new products, so particularly green, clean, or ecological organic, so that they can face higher price and specifically targeting for specific niche consumers, and also increase efficiency of those products marketing. And this is the broader framework for the value chain of these crops, and based on the components, based on constraints map. So these are the strategy I have given. Maybe there's no time to discuss more detail on this. So this is one of the examples for the underutilized crop. We have worked in the Nepal, particularly underutilized crop like taro, which is Colocasia species, where women have been mobilized for developing these value chains for processing, product market and value additions, product diversion, and linking to supermarket, and also linking to consumption in the tables for promoting nutritious value of these products, and also promoting increasing the income of the smallholder poor women farmers. Here, I'd like to focus more on how we can develop market for these overall niche products. Like I specifically mentioned some of the commodities. Specifically for niche products, we have many products niche. Not only I mentioned the underutilized mountain Himalayan crops, but also there are many high value crops like apple or many other items. For that, the specific focus, what I like to hear based on our research is that we need to focus, because the volume of production by the smallholder farmers is very limited. So cooperative arrangement, just linking farmers with traders is not enough unless we have a link. We mobilize the communities in the cooperative farms, so that economic volume of production is met, so that they can compete with the production with the other products coming from lowland. And also we need to have a specific companies, agro companies that focus on niche commodity that can process, and also link with the market, process, and also provide contract farming services for buyback guarantee, so that the products can easily sold, and farmers have a reduced risks of farming production. And also that they have to be linked with export, so that, with the cooperative and company models, producer company and contract farming, this value chain of the product, this value chain can be linked with the national and international market, and it's a benefit that can go to smaller producer. And there are a lot of processing product diversity we have done in the mountain areas. One of the example is Humla, which is on the way to, I think what already our co-chair said, the Humla she has visited. This is what we work with the bakery in the Humla, with the bakery and hotels and homestays to process and product some of the underutilized crops like millets or amaranth, processing the bakery products and market in the local hotels and tourist hotels, linking with the homestays. So expected impact of this value chain and market development is that, it can improve the livelihood and food security of smaller farmers and communities in the mountains where poverty incidence is very high as compared to lowland. It can improve resilience, inclusive, sustainable mountain development. It can increase the choices, nutritious diets for the consumers, not only in the mountains, but also in the lowland, in the downstreams of the whole populations. And also provide adaptation to changing climate and market vulnerability. When we have a direct linkage with the market, reduce risks, and also value chain development can enhance livelihood of the mountain communities and conserve ecosystem services. And here, this is just example of how we can have a holistic and inclusive value chain development. This is from FU an example, so we can focus on economy. It's not only economic impacts in terms of generating income, but also in terms of generating social impacts, conserving cultural heritage of the mountain communities through their niche products, and also environmental impacts by conserving these ecosystem services by growing these niche products, biodiverse products, so that we can bring green growth and inclusive growth in the food value chain. So finally, let me just summarize and conclude that value addition, value chain, and niche market development is very important for promoting healthy and eco-friendly mountain niche agro-product development. And for that, we need to promote nature positive production system, nature responsive and positive production system with ecological regenerative agriculture, such as organic farming. And also adoption of certification system, particularly for communities, participatory guarantee system will be better in the smaller community context, with ecological labeling and geographical indication branding, so that product are originated from mountain, with nutrition packed niche products, so that we can increase the value of mountain agro-biodiversity. And for that all, we need enabling policy support in the form of incentives, subsidies, price support, market linkages, and incentive to producers and entrepreneurs, which are very important to promote mountain niche products in the mountains, so that we can improve the livelihood of the mountain communities and also conserve natural ecosystem and mountain resources. I think, thank you very much. I think some of the references are given here. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gauchan, for your wonderful talk. Lovely pictures. Good to hear about Humla again, which is a place I will never forget. And thank you for going in detail about the importance of creating value for niche products in mountainous ecosystems, which, as you said, are very fragile, very remote, difficult to reach, and other things. Thank you very much. In case any of the participants has a question for Dr. Gauchan, kindly write it in the chat. And since Dr. Gauchan has finished his comprehensive presentation well within the time,